Hello everybody and a very warm welcome to what is going to be a very exciting day of virtual motor racing for you all. Why, I hear you say? Of course, it's because we're here at the ASETEK Simsports Community Trophy at a virtual Misano for two high-intensity races. My name is Paul Jeffrey and I am delighted to welcome the man with arguably the coolest name in sim racing broadcasting. Of course, it's the one and only Mike Noss. Mike, how are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great myself. We are here at this 2.6 mile circuit founded back in 1972 here at Misano. It's got 16 corners, 6 to the left, 10 to the right. And I think we are going to have some amazing action out here tonight. We have loads of communities joining us and lots of drivers on there, 27 to be exact as it stands. And I think we are in for an absolute thriller today.
Yeah, we absolutely are. The Porsche Cup car and Misano are a wicked combination. They do make. And of course, we've got two races, as you say, 10-minute qualification session ahead of each race, and then a 20-minute dash to the flag. The drivers are racing for points. This is a 3-round, 6-race championship, finishing at the SimRacing Expo on the 13th, 14th, and 15th of October. We'll be hosting the finals live. So, Mike, there's a lot for these drivers to play for this week, this weekend, today, this afternoon, this evening. And Misano's not the easiest of tracks in which to race and overtake in a big grid like we've got today.
No, most certainly is not, Paul. And it's going to be mostly down to the qualifying. I think these drivers are going to be really pushing the limits here. And track limits are a real challenge here at Misano. Low curbing, not too much on it. Lots of chicanes, and it's going to be really tight. Got 30 points on the line for first place tonight. And it is going to be a descending order in points, 29 for second, 28, etc. And yes, these drivers with 3 races, are going to be in for a real challenge, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So qualifying, as you can see on your screen, is already underway. A big welcome to everybody watching on the ADAC SimRacing Expo YouTube channel. Great to have you with us here this morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you are in the world. And we can see already, Mike, the man in the pink SOP Esports Racing number 100 car, Peter Brett, is the man currently quickest by almost 0.3 of a second from Maurice Stryker.
Yeah, Peter Brett, he is definitely one to keep an eye on here, the Irish driver. He's put in incredible results for the SOP team in the past, as well the SOP guys in general. Also, Simon Bauer down there is going to be one to keep an eye on for the race win tonight, I would say. These guys extremely rapid. Definitely, like I say, ones to watch tonight.
Absolutely, and a beautiful livery on that car. Of course, all of these cars are rocking the custom liveries for the particular teams. And what's interesting for anybody watching for the very first time that maybe doesn't understand or doesn't know, these are all different communities that are part of the SimGrid. So these have been invited to this event and this series because of their prominence and their size within the SimGrid platform. So we've got a lot of drivers representing their communities. And if you're watching at home and thinking, my oh my, I like me some esports racing, head over to the SimGrid, get yourself signed up with one of these communities and take part in the wealth of daily, weekly, monthly, fortnightly races that all of these boys and girls put together now, as we're looking at Daniel Brunskitt, the JL Motorsport 667 Porsche. 5th position so far. And Mike, we've got just over a second covering our top 9 drivers thus far.
Yeah, the margins are, you could cut them with a knife right now. It's so tight in terms of the tension. But that third and second, within a couple hundredths of each other, that's 60,000 separating them. Some really tight margins. Stryker trying to take that pole position potentially here. He's got a bit of work to do if he wants to manage that. He is up on his delta as it stands in this lap. We're currently watching, though, Baster as it stands. Patrick Baster sitting down in 10th position. A 136.6 currently on the board. The Dutch driver from the DC Sim Racing, Quinn Smith here from the Tracklicious community, one from myself, as well up in P8 currently. Number 5 driver, Stryker, one to really keep an eye on. Maurice here, even with his delta, he's lost a little bit of time, and this, of course, the checkered flag has fallen. Any driver on a lap that's currently on one will be able to finish it, but drivers that have not come across the line will no longer be able to start when he comes across the line. That's going to be Scott Vincent that we see up to 10th position.
Yeah, good improvement there for Scott Vincent. We're looking at Laura Hill now for Lightspeed Racing, the 216 machine, sideways through the final turns of corners. Can she keep the car in control? No, she cannot. So that is that lap terminated 15th at best when we come to the line. Juice Loon, another driver for QRT Esports. He crosses the line in 17th position, and then consigning the South African driver for Lightspeed Racing improve at the flag. Not quite. So qualification very swiftly over and done with. We've come in now, got a few minutes downtime before we go into the race, Mike. And you said it at the top of the show, and I think you make a really valid point. More than many other tracks, qualifying is so important here at Misano, isn't it? Because there are so few realistic opportunities to pass, unless you get your elbows out.
There's definitely a few passing opportunities here at Misano in the back straight. That's going to be all about that first sector, trying to set up the exit onto the, is that fourth or fifth corner? So many corners in the first sector, it's hard to count, but into apologies, can't pronounce that corner name. But anyways, through the back straight is going to be the best opportunity into the hairpin onto the back, where the drivers are going to be making the best opportunities here. But in terms of qualifying, I do got to give props here. Peter Brett with a massive result as well. Maurice Stryker did manage to get the position over Simon Bauer, but what a result there from Simon Bauer and Peter Brett in terms of the SOP Esports team.
Yeah, we've got Rev Bihara in fourth position, just ahead of Daniel Bunshit in fifth place. Sixth position goes to car number 23 of Kieran Sharp, and then Christoph Samin in seventh place, just ahead of Joe Boyle in eighth. Ninth position, we saw him crossing the line on the broadcast, car number 102, Quinn Smith, car number 5. And in 10th place, it goes to car number 455 and Scott Vincent.
Yeah, in P11 here, we have Benjamin Eck bringing up the number 1 driver, the Swede, in P11. Next to Patrick Baster in 12th. Carl Van Horn going to be in P13, the number 13 driver. Lucky number 13 for him. Remco Ottens will be in 14th. Next to Laura Hill, the 216 driver, in P15. And Victor Davos bringing up 16th position.
Juice Loon, car number 37, will start in 17th position for this race. Ian Hall, car number 87, is 18th on the grid. He's just ahead of Arnie Seiling in 19th place. That is car number 11. Car number 15th, Cody Besselink, will be 20th on the grid. And then in 21st place, Daniel Metz, car 111. There is the 111 that we've just gone past on screen. 202 is Teodora Kasnovic in 22nd position. 23rd is Pranev Kalava. In 24th is Derek Bruff. And then 25th, Ralph van der Meer. 26th is Artemi Lin. And 27th and last is Abe San Turner. 27 cars, Mike Noss, on a track that, as you mentioned at the top of the show, is only 2.626 miles in length. 16 corners. This is going to be a wild start to this race.
Absolutely. Not much elevation here on this track. Got about 10 meters of elevation change, 33 feet. And in terms of the start-finish straight, we got about a 600 meter long straight, a little under half a mile. Say overtaking opportunities, they do not come often. It's going to be really trying to capitalize on the mistakes of the drivers ahead, but with the caliber of drivers in this league, I will say I don't think we're going to be seeing too many mistakes, so we'll see.
Yeah, we will find out in just a few minutes' time. As you can see, the cars have begun their formation lap. The final opportunity to make sure that everything is above board. The tyres are up to temperature, the brakes are up to temperature, and most importantly, the driver has whipped down their virtual visor, has their game face on, and are ready to go motor racing. If you are Peter Brett, Mike Noss, what's the tactic? As we've seen somebody pulling off the side of the road. Is that Maurice Stryker? Yes, it is. So Stryker in some kind of strife already on the formation lap. Obviously not a game connection problem. He's still there on the circuit. But Maurice Stryker from second on the grid looks like he's in trouble.
I'm not sure what happened there. Could be electrical issues, could be pedal issues. Nobody knows just yet. Maurice Stryker, though, hopefully they can get back out and in position, but I'm not sure if they've returned to pits or not. They're still stranded on the side, actually, as it stands, and has now returned back to the garage, unfortunately. But now we see it. Drivers about halfway through this short out lap here. And if you're Peter Brett, asked him before. Peter, he's going to need to keep his head down here. He is one less of the contenders behind. Maurice Stryker no longer behind him. So Simon Bauer is going to be trying to make that run from the third slot on the grid. And we have Borgov behind. He's going to be trying to make a go onto Simon, I would imagine. But the field behind is not going to be far behind. And needs to keep an eye on the rear view wing mirrors here. You see those two pink SOP cars coming down.
Another driver in pit lane as well is Sharp, car number 23 from 17th on the grid. So a couple of drivers already in difficulty before we even go racing. But of course, with the removal of Maurice Stryker from the starting field, that means we've got an SOP. Esports Racing 1-2 on the grid as Simon Bauer moves up into the de facto second position. Peter Brett, though, no such dramas at the front of the field. The number 100 car in position number 1 on the race circuit as we're about to go racing for the first time today, and the first time in 2 races that we're going to hold. Both of them will be 20 minutes in length. Very much a wham bam, thank you man, quick fire racing. No room for mistakes, no room for leaving anything whatsoever on the table as Brett now comes to the final corner. Field starting to wind its way around. The drivers will be looking to the top of their screen for the starting lights and for the ASETEK Simsports Community Trophy opening race of the season. We are going to be green flag in just a few moments time. Here we go, green flag waits. Peter Brett from an uncontested race lead charges down into T1. Simon Bauer to the inside, loses out on the first corner, delicate on the brake, and the other SOP car dives to the inside as well. They avoid contact as 25 cars wiggle their way through these opening section of corners.
Yeah, so far so good. Peter Brett looking awfully strong in the race start here. Up still in P1, we have Borgov, who managed to get the position there onto Simon Bauer. Simon is going to be looking to make that up quickly. Daniel is off. His 102 car is off. What has happened there? Joe Boyle, one of the SOP cars, has ended up stranded on the side of the grass. Oh no, that is catastrophe early on for them. We're still green though as it stands.
More drama then at the front of the field. Boyle up into third position in the early running, but now, as you say, at the side of the racetrack, we'll find out exactly what's happening with him as we're looking at Carl Van Orn from the Sim Zone team at this moment in time in the middle of the pack. Everybody's jostling for position. This is such an important stage of the race for all of these drivers. You want to stay out of trouble, but you want to take the opportunities that present themselves over the course of these opening few corners, because this is where the cars are at their heaviest, the cars are at their coldest in terms of temperatures, and the drivers are most vulnerable to losing out position. Simon Bauer, he's already lost out of position, started third in qualifying but second in the race, but already drops down a position to second, and most importantly, Mike, leaves his teammate Brett vulnerable to attack from Borgov behind.
Peter Brett currently with the pace, coming across the line for the first time here at Misano. This is, of course, race 1 of 2 tonight. So those drivers that had a little bit of an incident early on, they're going to be head down looking forward to race 2, I would imagine. But as it stands, Peter Brett and Quinn Smith as well, as we're currently looking on the onboard here. Quinn Smith chasing down Samin in front. Looking like it's pulling away just a little bit coming into the first sector. This is where we're going to be trying to set up the overtake onto the back little straight. Trying to get the best exit possible, taking that alternate line onto the curbing. Laura Hill here, getting a little elbows out there, maybe a little bit of contact made. She tries to find the opportunity. She's going to go side by side. These are all Porsche Cups out there tonight. Laura here, looking to make the moves. My goodness, Paul, this has been one of lap 1 and into the lap 2.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Great work here from Laura Hill. Now she recognised that the move wasn't on in the previous few corners, waited, bided her time, goes side by side with Besselink. No room there, but Besselink runs deep, and Laura Hill takes away the position. Thank you very much. Besselink back on the racetrack, but he's lost a further place to... and that is Beister behind. So good driving from Laura Hill, patient, using racecraft in the 216 light speed racing machine, and she's now, for her troubles, into 11th position. We're looking at Christoph Samin in 6th place in the 112. This is DC Sim Racing that he's representing this race today. Just ahead of us is Eck in the number 1 machine. So a solid start from Christoph so far to be running well inside the top 10 in 6th position.
And as well, a really solid start as well from Peter Brett. He's managed to pull about a 1.2 second gap as it stands over Borgov. Borgov is looking in his rearview mirror to Peter's teammate, Simon Bauer, in P1, but currently as we're watching, Quinn Smith is still on that hunt. You can see the rear wheel there of Samin and how close that Porsche of Quinn is getting into the rear. Well, right next to the diffuser, basically looking to rub a hole potentially into it. Hopefully not, though. Onto the back straight, though. Looks fairly safe. Quinn Smith a bit too far behind to be making a move as it stands.
Maximum pressure is being applied at this moment in time, and that's how you have to do it at this circuit. You've got to pressure the car ahead into making a mistake. If they make a mistake, that opens opportunities for you to move forward. We're looking at the 202 now, running a little bit deep. That opens the door to the car behind, but it has the runoff. And who's this? That is Samin. So we saw Samin under pressure, exactly as I said there, Mike. A mistake has been made. He's facing the wrong way. So is David Bruff as well. Derek Bruff, sorry, just recovering to the racetrack. Somebody else going sideways too. There must be virtual oil on this track because everybody's throwing it at the scenery.
Yeah, the marshals are going to need to be getting the kitty litter out soon because there's definitely something down on track. These drivers may be getting a little bit too happy on the skinny pedal on the right-hand side there, and the cars are turning into pirouettes. Of course, these are rear-engined cars. When the back end goes on these Porsche Cup cars, it's very, very challenging to save it. Or some of these drivers definitely have the talent to do so, but wide through Misano corner. I think there's that Remco Ottens that we just saw getting overtaken by Victor Divos. As a result, loses out on P10. Samin is going to be walking away smiling with that one, no doubt.
Yeah, we saw on screen there a warning to car number 19, the VGTR eSports machine, for causing a collision on lap 1. We've got live stewards here, of course, in the background. A big shout out to all the individuals involved in making sure that all our drivers behave themselves appropriately over the course of this race. Another overtake that we just saw in the back end of the screen as well, just in the lower reaches of the top set. That is Ottens, I think, under pressure. There is the 1-1-2 machine of Christoph Samin that we're still seeing in 8th position. Devos is the man behind, trying to find a way past, but so far so good for the DC Sim Racing car. Can he close back on Van Horn ahead? That's the question he needs to ask. And Mike, as a driver, it's such a hard balancing act now, isn't it? How much concentration do you apply on chasing down the man in front versus keeping your eye firmly on the mirror and not letting somebody sneakily throw the car at the inside?
I'm always a man who's going to be looking forward rather than looking backwards, regardless of my pace, that's for sure. Trying to do whatever I can to make those overtakes, as we see it as Remco here, side by side, just about there. I'm not sure who's that behind. Is that Hill? Hill behind, as it stands. Laura Hill up 3 positions where they started. Remco Ottens as well up 3. One of the biggest gainers, though, is going to be Artemi Lin behind. These two right behind them as well. And up 11 positions from where they started. Started P26, not the greatest qualifying result, but a massive, massive gain for the 19 car, who is going to be trying to close in on this pack here that we see right now.
Yeah, great stuff. It just goes to show how effective it can be, staying out of trouble. A warning, by the way, to car number 18. That's the VGTR eSports car as well. Plenty of mistakes for VGT eSports in these opening laps, but they've got away with that one this moment in time. Remco Ottens now under massive pressure. That is Laura Hill behind. Hill in the 216 car has the outside line, but the optimal racing line. She'll get the launch off the corner. A little bit squirrely on the loud pedaling fight. So Besselink now tries to buy into this one. Besselink in car number 15. That's the red car now that we're riding on board with the Dutch driver Cody Besselink for the Sim Zone. Looks to the inside of Laura Hill. The door is left wide open. Laura Hill caught napping there. Cody Besselink side by side. Everybody's struggling to get the power down in these cars. Not as clean as it would be in, let's say, a GT3 machine. And Laura Hill, bravery personified, sticks that 216 back up the inside, and just for now she holds on to that 12th position. But Cody Besselink has decided it's time to lick that stamp and send it, and he is on a charge.
Yeah, definitely do not count Besselink out here, as Laura made a really opportunistic overtake there. Absolutely awesome job, Besselink here, trying to do whatever he can to make that position back. As we head into Sector 1 now, it's going to be the tight, twisty, windy, awkward Sector 1. That's very, very tough to keep these rear end of the Porsche cars fully connected to the track. Actually, we're in Sector 3. My bad, camera angles are close. But still, regardless of where you are on this track, it is tight, twisty, windy. at all times, basically. So as we see a little bit of contact there between these two drivers, bumping and banging in the first chicane. Little bit elbows out there. That was from Christoph Samin as well as Davos, I think. We see Baster getting involved in this action as well. My goodness.
Yes, plenty of drama in the lower reaches of the top 10. Samin, as you say, get the elbows out. That's the way that sometimes it has to play out in these Porsche Cup cars. Such an aggressive car, such a difficult car to drive on a very, very tight circuit. Jules Loon, that we're looking at in 16th position, the Dutch driver, car number 37, under pressure from Boyle. Boyle in the pick machine, gets the deal done, but Loon immediately on the charge, looks to the inside line, doesn't have a Porsche-sized gap in which to insert himself. So Jules Loon stays in 17th position. Boyle moves up one, and Santamaria behind is also trying to keep a watching brief as we're looking now. Sideways action in the 1, 2, 3. And if that camera was a little bit closer, Mike, I reckon that chap's eyes would be absolutely massive after that moment.
Yeah, no doubt. Pranav here down in P last as it stands, definitely looking to make it up in race 2. But we're looking back to Simon Bauer. This is a battle for P2 as it stands. He's caught up massively here to Borgov in P2, looking to make a gain into the first chicane. We go. The SOP Motorsports, it's going to be hot on the charge here. He looks to the inside, just a look though. Turns quickly to the outside once again for the first chicane heading in Sector 1. Not too many overtaking opportunities here. It's all going to be about the setup. Needs to be very careful though, as Brunschitz behind is as well, right on his wing mirror. This is going to be some tight action here in the closing phases of this race. We're halfway through the 10 minutes, 9 minutes, 50 seconds left to go, and I do not see this action ending anytime soon.
Not at all. It looks like Bogra is the cork in the bottle at this moment in time. Simon Bauer needs to temper that enthusiasm a little bit. He's showing the car to the inside, just trying to scare his rival off of the racing lines. We're seeing now Laura Hill on the charge again. She has been very, very much the case of the driver that is moving forward, has the bit between the teeth, and the Lightspeed racing car takes the position away from Ottens behind. Back to this fight though, the second, third, fourth and fifth position. Bauer still the man on the attack. Bogra still the man heavily under pressure, and Brunschitz and Eck behind, keeping a very curious gaze on how this one unfolds, because if these two keep squabbling, that's very firmly going to bring the fourth and fifth position car into the conversation. And hello, this is interesting. It's saying Bogra is, oh yes, it is, my mistake, sorry, Bogra second position. We've moved on to the sim zone driver. Massive pressure for car number 14. Only 8 minutes 45 seconds left on the clock, but one snatch break, one running a little bit too deep in corner or too aggressive on those curbs, Mike, and it could very easily be all over indeed for the Sim Zone 14.
Absolutely. Last lap, well, this lap he managed to put a little bit quicker lap in than his previous. He was actually lapping about 0.2 slower the previous lap than Simon and Brunschitz behind. As it stands though, he managed to get the hammer down that lap, but Simon Bauer has not left his rear diffuser whatsoever throughout the entire course of this race, more or less, and is going to be working a hole still in that one. But we're currently down on Christoph Samin, facing down Van Horn. That's his teammate, in fact, in the DC Sim Racing. He's not. Take that back. It's going to be Van Horn in front. Currently, incidents between car 112 and 33 on lap 6. Racing incidents have been noted by the stewards. Of course, live stewarding here, as we mentioned earlier. And Paul, so far these drivers, definitely no love lost between any of them thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. Unlike the traditional championship formats that we see in other esports competition, this is racing for the pride of your sim racing community, and someone racing for the pride is the VGTR Esports number 19 car that we see on shot there. In fact, there's a little bit of a squibble going on. That's Besselink in the 15. Besselink gets the car back in a straight line, but that little bit of a moment has cost him a couple of positions, and this just absolutely perfectly highlights just how difficult, how on edge these cars are, Mike. And in the heat of battle, it is so easy to be a little bit too aggressive on the loud pedal, and before you know it, your armfuls of opposite lock and you're just going sideways in a straight line. It really is a test of each and every one of these drivers at this level, isn't it?
No, absolutely. As I mentioned before, these cars, of course, rear-engined, which means that the center of gravity is going to be very far back compared to your average road car. Is going to have the engine plop straight in the front. As we were watching, David Brunschitz is going to get hit My goodness, contacts and bumping and banging being made there. And Brunschitzoffs end up in the kitty litter on the side. That is absolutely devastating there from him. Hard to tell from that angle exactly what happened, but my goodness, Paul, what is going on here?
Yeah, that was great camera shot actually riding on board. I couldn't help but shout out in drama of what was happening. At first I thought Brunschitz had maybe made a mistake, but potentially Eck got involved in that one as well. I'd love to see that one again from an off-board camera to see exactly where everybody was on the racetrack at that moment in time. But again, Mike, it's one of these, it's only a 20-minute race. You've got to get the elbows out. You've got to charge forward for the points. But when you put that level of pressure on these drivers, it becomes all the more critical to avoid those mistakes. We'll look at Carl Van Horn in the SimZone number 13 car. We're looking for sub. In fact, there's a mistake for the 19. So that was a car well inside the top positions. Remco Ottens as well. Everybody's going off the racetrack.
I think those two had a little bit of a coming together there, Paul, unfortunately, in I think that was sector 2 or 3. I couldn't quite tell from the camera, but definitely a bit of bumping and banging had from those two drivers, both of them ending up on the worst end of it. So we're currently watching here Simon Bauer trying to make a move for that podium, well, one more podium paying position, and Benjamin Eck behind trying to make his way onto it as well. 3/10 is the gap, but it stands basically nothing. And Borga is got to give massive credit here to Gaurav Borga as he is defending like an absolute champion here. As we have Peter Brett, who we haven't mentioned too much yet, is walking away with this race lead 11 seconds ahead of RP2 as it stands, but this battle is by far the one to keep an eye on as it stands, Paul. This is incredible action.
Yeah, really great stuff from all four of these drivers. And as you said, Borga in the front of this queue, defending with every bit of his skill, tenacity and experience. But there does seem to be an air of inevitability about Simon Bauer and the car 101. That car looks to be very much on its tippy toes. The pink machine, the SOP eSports racing driver, seems to be the quickest of the four cars in our shot at this moment in time. But as Murray Walker once famously said, catching is one thing, passing is quite another indeed, and Simon Bauer will have to be incredibly committed and intelligent about any move he wishes to take, as we see an incident between cars 18 and 57 on lap 9, a warning for 57, and that is the Sim Racing collective car currently piloted by Murray Stryker.
As well up in the front, currently watching Christoph Samin side by side here. That's Van Horn. Van Horn coming off on top as it stands. But while all that squabbling has happened up between P2 and P3 and P4 now, Quinn Smith has joined the party. He's going to be looking to potentially make his name known here in the podium paying positions. In number 5, currently sitting in P5, and right on the bumper there of Benjamin Eck.
Yeah, this is the danger, isn't it, when you're fighting with each other, you hold each other up and then other people start to buy themselves into the fight.
If I know anything about Quinn Smith as well, he's a very patient and opportunistic driver. He's not going to go for anything too rash or bold. He's going to wait and claim like a striker. Currently Stryker, unfortunately, out of the contention down in P24, Murray Stryker. He was in P2 at one point, but had that outlap incident, unfortunately.
So what are we looking at here? This is a replay on the main picture. That is the 667. I wanted to look in the off-board camera. There we go. It was indeed a mistake by the 667, then collected as well. So Brunschitz currently in 6th position. Could have been a lot worse. He's still very much in contention. And remember, as Mike said at the top of the show, it's a single point differential each place you drop down. 30 for the win, 29 for second, 28 for third, etc. So 6th place is still a massive haul of points on this 3-round 6-race championship. The key is to finish the race, bank as many points as possible, and see where you stand when it comes to the ADAC SimRacing Expo on the 13th, 14th and 15th of October, when the final race of this ASETEK Simsports Community Trophy will take place. Simon Bauer, though, in 3rd position. It may only be a point, but he cares not one iota at this moment in time. He needs and wants that position, as we've seen the VGTR eSports car off the road once again, Arteme. in 18th position at this moment in time. But Benjamin Eck, car number 1, has decided, you boys look like you're having a little bit of fun in that fight for second. I think it's time now for me to light the touch paper in the FRL racing team and get very firmly into this conversation as well, because Mike, 1 minute 30 seconds left on the clock, and this could go absolutely any way whatsoever.
As I like to say, anything can happen in racing, and it normally does. Benjamin Eck here got really close to Simon Bauer's bumper. A little bit too close, in fact. He didn't quite make contact, but he did have to back out mid-corner. That caused him to lose a few crucial tenths there, and is coming under massive threat now from Quinn Smith. As you said, 1 minute to go. We also have a 15-second penalty being handed the way of the number 19 car. Simon Bauer, he's looking to defend, or rather attack, excuse me. 5-second penalty, excuse me. And Simon Bauer here is going to be attacking and defending a little bit. Benjamin from behind. Benjamin, though, has to deal with Quinn.
So, if you've got anything left in the tank, Simon Bauer, now is the time to have a little rummage around and see what you can pull out from behind the back of the sofa, because we're getting down to the final 30 seconds of this race. The SOP Esports Racing, the pink and white machine on your screen now, car number 101 for the full 30-minute duration of this race. He has been looking at the rear of that number 14 Porsche, hearing the beautiful note from that exhaust pipe, but he's not here for a good time. He's here for positions for himself and his team. And in this, the final dying embers of the opening race of the day, opportunities are vastly reducing each and every time these cars brake, turn and accelerate around this beautiful Italian Misano circuit. Simon Bauer has an opportunity. We've seen somebody in front running out wide. That's not Brexit 100. No, it's not. That's some lapped traffic. So Simon Bauer, where are you going to pull the trigger? Let's have a look now to the outside. Bauer to the outside. That's not going to work. He'll try and cut the car back to the apex to get the run. Loses the rear a little bit as well. Has to get on the lock stops. And that's an opportunity once again gone begging for the number 101.
Running out of corners here is Simon. Needs to get the hurry up on. We're currently looking at our leader, though, Peter Brett, who has done everything he needs to and a little bit more here in race 1. Managed to set the fastest lap. Ian Hall has found the barrier, unfortunately. But Peter Brett here rounding the final few corners now. Bit of a wobble on exit. Flash of the headlights to come across the line. And P1 for Peter Brett, the Irish driver. This battle is not over just yet, though. Simon Bauer to the line is not going to be able to get the position. Gorov is going to hold on, and what a hold that was, Paul. Absolutely incredible spectacles here for these top 5 drivers, I would say.
Yeah, really superb stuff. And as you say, Peter Brett dominant at the front of the field at the end. 9 seconds to the good of Chasing Borgera and Simon Bauer. Benjamin Eck not quite able to buy into that fight at the end. He crosses the line in 4th from Quinn Smith. Juice Loon, that we're looking at here, 15th place over the line. A nice, useful banking of points in these opening races as the final few drivers are looking to round their way around the Misano circuit and come to an end. This is a replay of the start where we had plenty of drama, 27 cars all squabbling over the same bit of tarmac. There is the 102 machine. There was an early contender in the first few corners, but then sadly for the SOP Esports Racing, Joe Boyle driver, that one came to nothing a little bit later on, nearly running in 4th position. The usual mistake of Misano, a little bit too aggressive on the loud pedal, and then a secondary contact as well, rejoining the circuit. Unfortunately for the 102, that put paid to their chances of a good result. There's the 111 Porsche pirouetting all on their own, synchronized swimming with the 19 as well. So difficult to get the power down in these Porsche Cup cars. And then further up at the front of the field, the 21 of JL Motorsport, side by side with the 112. They managed to get the deal done, but not without a little bit of drama further back as everybody squabbles over the same bit of racetrack. And Mike, we suggested at the top of the show and off air as well that this was going to be a pretty fierce competition, but the opening race has served us up very nicely indeed, methinks.
I definitely think if this action continues for the next 3 races, we are in for an absolute thrilling spectacle. I could not even imagine what is to come here. Of course, this is just race 1 tonight. We have another race after this, so make sure you guys do not go anywhere. Good contact there from the 19 and the 15 in the replays. just some amazing racing all around from all 27 drivers out there in the field. A couple incidents happening early on. Those drivers going to be looking forward to race 2 for sure. See, big contact. And we also, like to say, the number 5 here of Quinn Smith doing an excellent job as well. Bringing home a P5. No bias at all from me, from the Trackalicious community.
It was a great drive, though, Quinn Smith. You're absolutely right. A quiet performance, and that's exactly what you do. No drama, no excitement, no flair and running off track and going side by side. Just quietly and assuredly moving forward, banking the big points, Mike, and getting yourself in the best position possible, not just for race 2 that we're going to see in a few moments' time, but for the duration of this 3-round 6-race championship in its entirety as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a race that was. I cannot get over that. Just the P2, 3, 4, and 5 action. I'm at a loss for words, to be completely honest, from those drivers. Massive shout out to all the communities, and big thanks to all of them, of course, for participating. And just, yeah, what incredible spectacles so far. And Peter, with just what's the word I'm looking for? A masterclass of a result. I mean, fastest lap in qualifying, fastest lap in the race, as well as the P1. It's a complete lockout. We'll see if they can manage to transition that into the second race. That's going to be the big thing, Paul, here tonight, if they can manage that.
Well, that's a very good point that you make, because, of course, we've had a good race and a good qualifying, but now we completely reset the board. We go back into qualifying again. We do another 20-minute race. It pays out the same points as race 1. But the key for these drivers, they've now got to bring their adrenaline levels back down, reset, consider what they've learnt from this race and apply it for this second event. Peter Brett went in and dominated, it has to be said, that opening race. Yes, he was helped. Of course, he was helped by the fact that there were squabbles behind. But that's not going to have been missed by this field. And anybody that came into this competition with aspirations of being a champion, Mike, they're going to see that performance from Peter and think, maybe I need to dig a little bit deeper here. And this is where we see the makings of true champions. It's the mental game now for these drivers as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. As just the sheer amount of practice as well put in, it takes true, as you said, mental dedication to put the laps in, put the hours and the thousands and thousands of hours that these drivers have managed to lap around these tracks, countless hundreds of laps, and the practice as well, just paying off for them. And we see it here tonight, Peter really putting in the work. The other drivers just not quite there in race 1. Like I said, we'll see in race 2. Anything can happen in racing, and it normally does. I'm a firm believer of that, so we will definitely see moving forward. But a full points haul there for Peter in race 1.
Fabulous performance. And before we head into qualifying, it's my time to address you all, the people of the audience watching us on the ADAC SimRacing Expo YouTube channel. First and foremost, as always, a massive thanks for being with us and staying with us. Don't go anywhere, because race 2 is right around the corner. But I also want to implore you to take a look at the world of SimGrid if you've not done already. These teams, these 27 drivers, these 10 teams that are taking part are communities within the SimGrid platform. What that means is they're run by individuals. They host races and championships and events in their own community, and you're welcome to head along, take a look at what's in your time zone, what's hosting the kind of content you fancy, get yourself signed up and go racing with them. That's down on SimGrid. I highly implore that you do that one. And also a big shout out to ASETEK and to Asher Racing, the sponsor of this series in which we're racing in now, which is the ASETEK Simsports Community Trophy. Without them, this kind of thing would not be possible. So big thank you to everybody. And that's enough of that one. Now I've done my little bit. Let's head back to the track, because, my nos, it's qualifying time. Once again, deja vu. Here we are again. 7 minutes, 24 seconds left on the clock. Can anybody beat that number 100 machine?
We will see indeed. Drivers on their outlaps here. 2.6 miles here at Misano. We're going to see them. Drivers have started their laps, actually. Currently, I think Brunschitz is the first one, maybe? Can't tell who the Peter Brett might actually be the first one out on track, just eager to get out there and get the lap times in. I think he is. So very much so out there, ready to show his true pace, show his colors, and set an example for the rest of this field as he has done in race 1. Drivers currently, we're going to see maybe Brunschitz, can he take a little bit higher of a qualifying result. As we said in the race one, qualifying is so important here, as overtaking is such not many opportunities in this track. Of course, you have a few pretty good ones, but you need to be very confident and very decisive and not really hesitate whatsoever. Currently, Brunchett's across the line is going to be the first lap on the board, 137.7. Definitely going to need to find a little bit more pace here, as Ian Hall quickly topping that with a 136.9.
Yep, so the Misano World Circuit, Marco Simoncelli, is a track that rewards a driver who can be aggressive over those curves. You want to minimise the angle of attack for the car on this circuit. You want to be as aggressive as you dare within the confines of track limits, within the confines of the grip that the Porsche 911 GT3 992 Cup car will give you out on the racetrack. And if you can marry all those elements together, you will more likely than not be able to extract a good lap time out of the car. Baster currently is the man fastest. In fact, no, he's not actually. That was 5th position. The quickest driver on the grid is Bauer, Simon Bauer, at this moment in time. 136.270 is the lap time that this field is looking to target. But of course, Peter Brett hasn't set a representative lap yet. Here is Peter Brett, perfectly on cue, thank you very much. Mike Yao up in the director's box. The SOP Esports Racing pole position sitter and race winner from race 1. Can he do anything in this second session? 4:04 p.m. in-game time. The Misano circuit looks like it's giving up plenty of grip. Can Peter Brett use that to good advantage through the final corner? Nice and aggressive on entry and exit curve. Run for the shortest run to the line. Car number 100 goes quickest with a 35.680. Fantastic lap time there. 8/100ths of a second ahead of the car of Daniel Brunchett's behind.
Yeah, such tight margins. Of course, anybody wondering, the human eye, it blinks in 0.2 of a second. These two separated by 82 thousandths of a second. The margins here almost could not be tighter. Over the course of 2.6 miles, managing to lap almost identically in the same exact car as well, of course. And what a lap Peter Brett had. And plenty more laps to go here. 4 minutes, 19 seconds left in the session. Track temp is going to be up at 36 degrees. Quite a warm track temp, of course, that's Celsius. Ambient temp will be around 23. So definitely the tires going to be cooking here in these Porsches. Going to be wanting to set those laps in on your first or second lap, really, is where you're going to be looking to get the optimal times, unless you return to the pits to make a little bit of a tire change. These drivers that we are currently watching, Arnie here, and sitting down in P27 without a lap on the board. Getting up now through the middle sector into the middle corners now, looking very tidy on entry. Hard to tell, maybe a bit wide, bit of a correction on the wheel, runs a bit wide, leaving a few tenths there on the table is sealing.
So far so good for the number 11, but just look how hard he's working behind the wheel. That just goes to show, despite the good temperatures, the rubbered in racing surface, you can see some marbles just off the racing line there, but it suggests there's plenty of grip out on the Misano circuit. But just behind the wheel of these cars, it is such a violent experience. You've got to be so aggressive on the wheel, willing to catch it when it's trying to step out. It'll understeer, that'll snap into oversteer. You've got to be careful on the accelerator, putting the 500 plus horsepower down to the rear wheels. It is a car that very much tries to catch you out. Can Sealing, though, extract any lap time now as he runs through the final corner? Just behind, we see somebody losing the rear of their machine, and Sealing does set a lap. 18th position, Benjamin Eck, currently in 9th place, car number 1. Beautiful livery on that FLR Racing Team machine. He runs to the line. Will he improve from 9th position when he breaks the timing beam? Yes, he does. Moves up into 5th place, 0.4 of a second away from our current pace setter, Peter Brett, at the front of the field. Simon Bauer, the 101, 2nd place, 0.2 in arrears now. Brunchett's in 3rd, 0.3 and a bit away from pole, and Maurice Stryker, car number 57, a few thousandths behind as well. As I'm saying that one, Stryker moves up in a 2nd place with a 1 minute 35.575. So good move by Maurice Stryker with 2 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what sort of pace we're going to see from Maurice Stryker in terms of race pace. Unfortunately, having that lap zero incident last lap out on the outlap. A little bit of a technical issue, some sort of mechanical, no one knows. But anyways, Maurice out there and setting rapid lap times, 1.4 tenths off the pace as it stands. Peter Brett, though, is improving. And Smith to the line here. We're going to see him. Never mind. And Smith, though, currently in 6th position as it stands. Kieran Sharp, 8th fastest, 8 tenths off the pole. Going to be rounding the final few corners now. Is up on their Delta, 1/10 as it stands, coming to the line. Is it going to be enough for a position? Is going to go faster, but stays P8 for now. These P-Cups are so tricky to drive. I got to give credit once again to these drivers, Peter Brett in particular. No traction control on these cars. They do have ABS, but giving it a foot full of throttle, it's so easy to end up facing the incorrect direction. These drivers have been doing such a great job of it so far here in this qualifying session.
Yeah, could not agree more there, Mike. Fantastic performance so far from the entirety of the field. And of course, we're racing in Assetto Corsa Competizione, which is traditionally a GT3 simulation. So these kind of cars, these cup cars that we see in the sim, including Porsche that we're watching today, it is a rarely used by comparison machine for a lot of these drivers. So the muscle memory that you rely on from your GT3 career and experience just does not apply to these cars. So it requires so much more of the mental faculties of these drivers in order to extract the lap time that they need to. As we're looking at Victor Devos now for QRT Esports car number 33. He's in 12th position, but a whole world of pain in front of him as he reaches traffic on this track 111. Gets out of the way, but Devos, I feel, maybe lost a little bit too much time getting bottled up behind that Porsche as we come to the hairpin. One of the better overtaking opportunities, but also a place where it is very easy to get greedy on the throttle in race conditions and pirouette before you know which day of the week it is. We're staying with Devos now as he looks to the curb on the inside, nice and calm on corner exits, nice and calm over the curbs, gets the power down as early as he possibly can. He's got traffic ahead, but hopefully they will stay out of the light way as we run through the final few corners of this Misano circuit. The QRT car, 14th position at this moment in time, elects for a slightly narrow corner entry, uses the curb on inside and outside, gets the car down to the apex nice and early as well. Ian Hall crosses the line, he moves up to 7th, but can Devos improve from 14th position? The final charge now, one last opportunity to break that timing beam through the final corner. 14th place, will Victor Devos improve? Uses the sleeping policeman and a bit of the grass as well. 14th place over the line, we do not improve.
Actually invalidated there on the final corner. Went a little bit too wide, ends up putting both wheels over the white line there and having his lap be deleted. It's the end there of qualifying 2. We head over now getting ready to head over into race 2 tonight here at Misano. You can see that the lovely B-roll being rolled currently, but an amazing result once again from Peter Brett, doing exactly as we expected and exactly probably as he expected as well, slamming his way comfortably up to pole position. Maurice Stryker just not quite able to answer in terms of lap time. Simon Bauer, a teammate of Peter Brett, is going to be up there as well in P3. Man, these guys are so quick, and I'm really excited here to see, once again, Paul, as Maurice, he's going to be the one to keep an eye on Maurice Stryker to see what they can do up here in the podium-paying positions. Can they take the fight to Peter Brett on lap 1? That's going to be the question.
They'll certainly be hoping so, but what will be soul-destroying for the entirety of this field is Peter Brett went almost 0.2 of a second quicker than he managed in the opening qualifying session. So everybody will have hoped to have done the qualifying in race 1, learnt a little bit, applied that into their preparation for race 2. But Peter Brett, just as champion-elects often tend to do, has also learnt everything he needs to learn and has applied that to devastating effect. 0.4 of a second ahead of the 57 of Maurice Stryker in qualifying. It's going to be very difficult to look past that car number 100 on the left-hand side of your screen for yet another race victory. So Peter Brett is the man on pole position, number 57, Maurice Stryker. He'll be hoping to make it round the formation lap this time to have himself a better race than we saw earlier today. Simon Bauer, 3rd position once again for the 101. Bauer had a frustrating race earlier on. He'll be hoping for more forward progression this time around. Car number 667 lines up fourth on the grid. That's driven by Daniel Bunchitz in the fourth place. Fifth position, Benjamin Eck, car number 1, fifth on the grid. Good opportunity to move forward. And Quinn Smith for Trackalicious, fifth place, fifth car number 5, sixth position in qualification.
Yeah, Ian Hall here going to be taking 7th position in the number 87 Porsche Cup next to Joe Boyle, the 102, going to be looking to make a much better result than last race. Kieran Sharp is going to be in 9th position at the number 23. Of course, they're all P-Cups. Christopher Samin is going to be in 10th next to Gaurav Borgra, who is much further down the grid this time than last. In P11 as it stands, the number 14 driver going to be looking to make a decent recovery drive. And then in 12th is going to be Scott Vincent, the 455 car.
Laura Hill certainly knows how to race. She was one of the stars of the opening round. The 216 is 13th on the grid, just ahead of Victor Devos in car number 33. Car number 113, that is Patrick Baster. He lines up in 15th place, just ahead of Carl Van Horn in 16th position on the grid. Remco Ottens is 17th in car number 21, and Juice Loon is 18th in the number 37 machine.
Yeah, 19th is going to belong to the number 15 of Cody Besselink. 20th, rounding out our top 20, is going to be Teodora Kosanovic, and in 21st, Arnie Sealing. Next to them is going to be Daniel Metz in 22nd position. Derek Brough in P23. Ralph Vandermeer, 24th, the number 18 car. Next to Artemi Lin in 25th, the number 19 driver. Mess that up. Abe Santema in P26, and last but not least is going to be the number 1, 2, 3 driver of Pranav Kalavala in P27.
So once again, everybody at home, don't go anywhere, because this is going to be a rip-roaring and exciting race, I am absolutely sure. The final race of the day here in the ASETEK Simsports Community Trophy Round 1. The second race of the day. We've got another couple of rounds and another 4 races after this one still to go, but we'll come back to that one a little bit later on. Race 1 was the story of Peter Brett and his domination, but they were hard racing all the way through the field. We've got a full race worth of experience. Mike, this next 20 minutes, I think, is going to be a little bit crazy.
I think so as well, as we are now going to have Peter Brett lined up next to somebody on the grid. Of course, we line up at the start of these races 2x2 Noah's Ark formation to begin this race. But Peter up at the front had nobody to join him time around. Maurice, though, is going to be right next to him and ready to make that move into the first corner. Of course, going to be starting on the dirty side of the track where the marbles are, but that is not going to deter the number 57 Porsche Cup car, I don't think, whatsoever. As we are getting ready here, coming through the middle sector, heading towards Sector 3 now. Our 2.6 mile outlap coming to a close. This, of course, being the calm before the storm. And I do expect it to be quite the storm coming up as well, Paul, as you were mentioning.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the last opportunity for today, at least, for these drivers to make a name for themselves, score some points on the board. 30, of course, for the race victory, 29 for second, and so on and so forth. A little bit of confusion amongst the field there on this formation lap as well. Maurice Stryker still in second position behind the pink and white car of Peter Brett. Ahead, Bauer in third place. He'll be hoping to convert this into a much stronger race and make a name for himself as well, of course, in the same team as our pole position winner and race 1 winner at the front of the field. But here we go now, 2x2 they come to the final corner. The ASETEK Simsports Community Trophy race number 2 will be go in a few moments time. Can Maurice Stryker do anything about Peter Brett at the front of the field? We're going to find out now. We go green flag for 20 minutes of racing as 27 cars charge down into the opening corner. Peter Brett has the inside line. Stryker runs it around the outside, covers from Simon Bauer behind. A little bit of drama further back down the order as well. A couple of cars facing the wrong direction, secondary contact for good measure, but Brett gets the start he needs. Stryker has a much better start to this race than last time around, and there is Quinn Smith in car number 5, the Trackalicious machine. Smith qualified in 6th position. He's in and around those places as he looks to make his own charge through the field.
Yeah, Quinn Smith still in 6th position as it stands. The timing's yet to update just yet. We see some side-by-side squabbling coming down into the back hairpin now. That move from, not sure who that is, side-by-side. I think that's Victor Davos and Carl Van Horn, I think, actually. And Victor, I think, picked up a drive-through penalty for a start place infringement early on. I'm not sure. It looks like it's been removed, actually. Victor is going to be clear on here. Thanks to the live stewards, of course, for providing all of your awesome action, or awesome work you guys do. Thank you guys so much. And thank you guys in chat as well. Thank you all the viewers as we're live here in race 2.
Yeah, great racing so far from these drivers. The majority of the field makes it through nice and cleanly. The Sim Zone 14 car of Borgera just holding on at this moment in time. Top of your shot there as well. That is somebody running a little bit wide, not quite sure who that was, but they get the car back on the racetrack, and there we go. Pirouette in the gravel, and another drama as well. Great shot, actually, if we look at these spectators. Not watching, they're looking at the camera. Turn round, chaps, because there's lots of drama behind you on the racetrack, as we'll have seen Borgera now. He makes his way up past Samin in the 102, so that was the car in strife earlier on. Samin tries to find a way back past again. There is no room for the pink machine, so Borgera, good start for him, into 9th position.
Yeah, and that car that we saw facing the wrong way, unfortunately, that's going to be Teodora Kasanovic. They're going to be down all the way to P last as it stands after getting turned around, facing the wrong way on track there. Up in currently 9th position, we're looking at Gorov now, who's trying to make a recovery drive up from last time. They started in, let's see, I think they started in P9 as well. Gorov, though, currently actually up 2 positions, started P11, of course. The JL Motorsports driver here chasing down Christoph in front. We're looking at Daniel Brunschitz now.
Yeah, the 667 Daniel Brunschitz having a good start there. There's a mistake for Bauer. So Bauer runs onto the gravel. He gets the car immediately back on the racetrack. Momentum is lost. The damage has been done, and he loses not 1, not 2, but 3 positions. Simon Bauer, a rare mistake from the SOP Esports Racing 101 driver, but that has had big implications for Simon Bauer. We said at the start of this race he'll be hoping to make more forward progression than we saw in the opening round. Remember, he was stuck on the rear of the 2nd and 3rd position battle, but that has made his day significantly more difficult indeed. Now in 6th place for the 101, and he's got Hall for company behind as well. Hall, cleaner and warmer tyres, is looking to try and capitalise on that mistake, but for the SO Esports team, with the exception of course of Peter Brett at the front of the field, it all feels like it's falling apart a little bit in the opening few laps of this race, as Laura Hill, as we've become accustomed to so far in this championship, seems to be on the charge again. 14th position, but that won't stay that way for long.
Now, Laura Hill definitely seems to have some incredible race pace behind her. She really is making a charge up the field. Actually down 1 position from where she started at the start of this race, but you can tell she is eager to make it up. Drivers there cresting very close there to the track limits through that first sector. Actually, I think maybe even crested it just a little bit too much, did Laura. And now looking on the charge to the 33 car, that's going to be Victor Davos in front. Victor is wide onto the outside. Laura, opportunistic as ever, going to be looking to make the move here side by side. The drive, though, is there for the number 33. The outside line to the 216 is going to try to stick with it, though. Maybe setting up the switchback, not quite. Covered off very nicely as well.
Very intelligent from Laura. We've seen this before, haven't we, Mike? That she really is patient. She knows when to make a move, when to concede, when to set up for corners down the road. And there we go again. She has the inside line. She has the high ground on the inside line. Can she get that car stopped in time? Yes, she can. Thank you very much indeed. And that is a very tidy overtake indeed. Speaking of tidy, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, cars number 20 and 111 on lap 1. An incident, a racing incident, has been deemed to be the cause of that bit of controversy amongst those two in the early running of this race.
As we hop on board here with Ian Hill, who's got a great view of the battle up ahead, as we now hop on with Samin, who is going to be in the thick of that one. Has Borga right behind. Can't see the mirror there, unfortunately, but I can assure you there is not much room between the car behind Samin right now and himself. He is also right behind Ian Hall on the charge, and Simon Bauer in P6 is pulling away from these guys just a little bit, still giving that ever-crucial slipstream. A bit of a wobble there from Samin as he gets on the throttle a little bit too early. Those yellow and black curbs on the exit could be absolutely devastating if you end up running too wide onto them. Could send you flying next day into Sunday, no doubt. Currently, though, the driver's navigating them quite well. Christoph just with a slight error onto the back straight.
Yeah, riding on board now with Bogra, though. Look how close he got to the rear of Samin's car. That's compromised him on corner exit. In fact, Samin himself gets a lovely launch in the 1-1-2, so he's now challenging Paul ahead of him, but Bogra just needs to keep things a little bit calm. Boyle, by the way, he's on a charge as well, so this is Boyle and Sharp going side by side. There is Boyle on the outside line. You've got to be careful not to get collected by the car that you're trying to overtake, but he navigates that one very nicely indeed. Thank you very much for Joe Boyle. He's up one position following the early opening lap drama, so 11th place so far in this race, but I don't think we've seen the end of the charge for Joe Boyle down in 11th place. And we're riding now again with Christoph Samin, currently in 8th place, still trying to find a way past all ahead. And just like we saw in race 1, when things calm down after the opening 5-6 minutes, Mike, it becomes a much more strategic affair for these drivers, doesn't it? Just sounding out where you've got the speed, where you've got the advantage over the cars ahead, and then trying to understand where the safest and most efficient way is to make the overtake on this very tight and twisty and difficult racetrack.
Yeah, it's all about feeling the driver out in front of you. Knowing who you're racing is really going to help you in this. Of course, these drivers have had one race with each other now as it stands. A lot of them, of course, know each other from other leagues, though. These are all, of course, all massive communities, all of them putting on races themselves, and all of the drivers intermingle with each other. And as it stands, though, yeah, the racing tonight has just been something else, I will say. We do have a little bit of a lull as it stands, but I don't think that's going to be out for much longer. As the battle, 1 second separating everybody, basically. In fact, oh my goodness, the number 15 car, Cody Besselink, is facing the barrier, unfortunately, there. The number P16 dropped down quite far as a result. The backup to Samin, the Belgian driver, with their battle and scrap that's been going on so far, and I think is going to continue for a long while. But I've got to give credit here. Maurice Stryker is keeping Peter Brett honest. They're 1.4 seconds. The gap is very tight up at the top of the field here. So Peter has a little bit of competition this time around. I wonder if he's going to be feeling that.
Yeah, it's great to see that Maurice Stryker seems to have the number of Peter Brett at this moment in time. Last time around, 35.652 for Brett, a 35.710 for Maurice Stryker. So they're similar in lap time, and they're certainly within the same postcode of each other at this moment in time. All that Maurice Stryker can do, keep applying the pressure, hope he can find an opportunity to close up and eventually pass the 100 at the front of the field. Laura Hill, though, has no such strategic requirements. All she needs to do is see car pass, which the Lightspeed Racing driver is doing very effectively so far over the course of the race. This evening, the 216 Porsche that we see there. Let's go back a second, though, to Quinn Smith. He went to investigate some of the rumble strips on the outside of the circuit. Smith, though, car 5, position 5 at this moment in time, and Benjamin Eck decides, no, it's okay, you went wide, looked like you enjoyed it, I'm going to do it but with bells on. Goes very wide indeed, and that is a free overtake for Quinn Smith and the Trackalicious car up into 4th.
Some very generous racing from these two drivers, giving each other, well, enough space to fit about a semi-truck between them. As it stands, though, I don't think they're going to be thinking about that any longer. Benjamin Eck on the charge is going to be wanting to make that back up. The number 1 car hot on the inside there, not able to find the opportunity just yet. Needs to be extremely careful from Simon Bauer behind, but here's the move into the curve of Misano, the final corner. Switchback attempt here for the 101. He's going to go side by side onto the start-finish straight. It's going to be the outside line for the first chicane, but I don't think he's even going to need it. He is going to be well ahead before we even reach the corner in the 101 there of Simon Bauer, trying to get his nose involved as well. But no, that's going to be at Benjamin Eck. Lick the stamp and send it. He gets the job done. Great job there from Benjamin Eck.
Yeah, that was a beautiful bit of driving from Benjamin Eck. He has the position. Simon Bauer is also involved in that fight as well. Bauer on the recovery drive. This is the 202 Lightspeed Racing car that we're looking at now, going a little bit wide through the penultimate corner. You can get away with that a few times, but do it too often and you will incur the wrath of both the real stewards and the in-game penalty system as well. So you've got to balance that tightrope between being quick and using all the racetrack. Somebody who's very quick indeed, though. Benjamin Eck runs deep once again. Quinn Smith once again on the attack. A little bit of kiss to the back of the car from the number 5. Smith checks up, Then in for good measure comes Bauer, side-by-side contact between the two of them. Bauer found the gap, Quinn Smith couldn't close it in time, and that small mistake has massive consequences because Smith not only loses out to Simon Bauer, but also Ian Hall as well buys into this fight, and Hall finds his way past the Trackalicious machine. So Quinn Smith has gone from the attacker to being 3 places in the negative, down in 7th.
Yeah, definitely just a little bit too late on the brakes there from Quinn Smith. Unfortunately, the Concertina just checking him up a bit too much there. As we look now at Daniel Brunschitz up in P3, chasing down Maurice Stryker. Peter Brett has started to check out of this race once again. 3.5 seconds is the gap currently to Peter Brett up in P1. The Irish driver is just on another planet right now. Carl Van Horn in P14, who we're taking a look at right now, going to be chasing down Kieran Sharp. Kieran Sharp's actually in a battle with Victor Davos as it stands. Got a great front row seat here. Best seat in the house, I would say. The Dutch driver will be trying to take advantage of those two squabbling, gain up on them, and maybe even get a nice little 2-for-1 if he can manage. But that's, of course, opportunistic thinking here at the Misano track. We've made it very clear. Overtaking a little tricky here tonight.
Absolutely.
Trying to get that done.
Yeah, Brunschitz was very deep and very late on the brakes, had to take evasive action to avoid the rear of Maurice Stryker's car, and Stryker now seems to be losing pace. He's not as fast as we saw in the opening portion of this race. Remember, he was pretty much blow for blow matching the pace of Peter Brett, but last time around, Brett with a 35.587, Maurice Stryker a 36.775. So Stryker now has gone from somebody with aspiration of looking to the front of this field to very firmly on the defensive from Daniel Brunschitz behind. And if those two keep squabbling, there's not a huge gap between themselves and Benjamin Eck and Simon Bauer behind. So that's a fight that we'll be keeping half an eye on over the course of this race. But frankly, there's fights pretty much throughout the field, not least of which is this battle for 18th, 19th and 20th position with the VGTR eSports machine number 20 very firmly in the middle of this Porsche sandwich.
Yeah, as Abe Santema is going to be having to contend with that 10-second penalty at the end of the race as well. Patrick Baster with a 5-second one as well, chasing down Arnie Sealing as it stands. Back up though with the battle for the podium. Has, wow, a very, very happy rear end there. I think that was from Maurice Stryker. Running a bit wide onto the rumble strips. You got to be very, very careful going over those sausage curbs onto the outside. As I said before, you can get absolutely sent from those. Brunschitz here lost a bit of time. Wait.
And the position, Mike, as well. He's down in 3rd place now as Maurice Stryker. So that pace drop-off really, really costed the Dutch driver. And Benjamin Eck, when I looked, he was 6 seconds away. It was a bit of a stretch for me to say that he can catch up. Now he's 2.3. Game on for the bottom step of the podium.
Yeah, Simon Bauer as well, going to be trying to make his message known. The number 13 car down the inside of the 33, though. This is Victor Davos, going to be under massive threat. Carl Van Horn trying to get the job done. Not able to do it just yet. Hot on the diffuser as it stands, though. A little bit far behind, coming through the back, not so straight bit into the final few corners. Now the final sector approaching, braking at that 50-meter board. Very hard braking and turning through there, trying to keep the wheel as straight as possible. Victor Davos doing so excellently. Number 33 car there with good pace through that final few. I think he has managed to gap Van Horn for now through the final corner and might give him enough breathing room. But unless the exit there, just a little bit too far back, be very ambitious for Van Horn to be making an overtake from that far back.
Ambition, though, is very much what we have seen plenty of in this race. Victor Davos sideways once again in the 33. The cars now, they're starting to give up the grip that they had in the opening part of this race. 5 minutes left on the clock here at Misano, 4:32 p.m. in-game time. And I think several of these drivers are starting to struggle for grip, starting to lose the balance of the car, not least of which is Maurice Stryker in that grey machine. The fight between himself, Benjamin Eck and Simon Bauer that we summarise maybe upon us in the next few laps Forget that one. It is now, and Maurice Stryker is under all of the pressure in the world as Victor Devos once again on the defensive, and there is Stryker. Stryker loses a position to Benjamin X. Simon Bauer trying to buy into this one almost immediately, shows the nose to the inside. He seems to have a little bit more front end on that Porsche. He can hold a tighter line. It seems to be it's behaving a little bit better. And there we go, the inside line. Secures the job, runs the car out wide, gives Maurice Stryker no opportunity to attack again. And Simon Bauer gets the position. But Mike, he's under pressure again. Stryker has the inside into the final turn, has the right line. Little bit of a kiss between the two, and not for the first time this race. Simon Bauer gets a little bit closer to the crowd for a wave before jumping back on the grey stuff and continuing on his way. Bauer made one, lost two, and is now under pressure. A little bit of contact between himself and the Trackalicious car. A flash of the lights as well, for good measure, from the chasing pack, and Quinn Smith will not like that one bit at all.
Quinn Smith's off, actually. He has been tagged, I think, from behind, and right after that flash of the headlights, he's dropping down the field massively, down to P12. But a 5-second penalty has as well been picked up for Bauer. It's definitely something that's going to affect him massively. 5 seconds at the end of this race. This field is so extremely tight. That's going to be at least 3 positions as it stands. Maybe at least 2 positions, potentially 3. Quinn Smith, though, definitely going to be hurting after that. Ian Hall smiling, though. The number 87 car is on the chase for Maurice Stryker. And Maurice he's probably a little bit upset after that, seeing some red maybe even. After losing those positions, he's going to be losing another, though, actually, as Maurice Stryker washes wide. Are his tires gone? Is there a setup error that potentially has worn these tires down to a different level? We get to see the replay here. This is Quinn Smith and Simon Bauer. A little bit of bumping and banging as it stands into the first chicane. That's the 14 car on the outside. Quinn Smith washing a little bit wide. Gets clipped and ends up facing the wrong way in the grass.
Such a frustrating incident for Quinn Smith there, with massive consequences, as you say. Down into 12th position is the number 5 machine, Ian Hall, that we're looking at now, trying to build a gap from, that's not Maurice Stryker according to the timing screens, that is actually Simon Bauer behind. So Stryker hemorrhaging lap time at this moment in time. The Dutch driver just does not have anything left to give in the dying embers of this race. Laura Hill, though, once again, whatever she's done to that car, it comes alive in the racing sessions. The Lightspeed Racing 216 machine still very much in a forward motion. She's 10th at the moment. Vincent is her next victim, just ahead. Sharp carrying a little bit of damage in the grey machine, a lot of damage in fact, in the grey machine behind, having a little bob and a weave behind the back of the 216, trying to find an opportunity for himself. But Laura Smith, she knows how to make a pass. 10-second time penalty for car number 19. That's the VGTR Esports machine for causing a collision. VGT Esports are trying very hard to collect all the different penalties so far, it seems, today, Mike, and 10 seconds will have a big impact on their overall race result.
Almost certainly. And one thing I got to say about Laura Hill, I know we didn't quite see it there, but whenever we pop the driver cam on Quinn Smith, oh no, facing the wrong way again. Oh, massive. It's just terrible spectacles here from Quinn Smith at the very end of this race. It's very unfortunate. But back to Laura Hill. Just every time we pop onto her driver cam, she's cool as a cucumber. And she is making overtakes left and right. Currently trying to line one up on Scott Vincent. Oh my goodness. She actually makes an error. She is human. Kieran Sharp is going to end up by, but you can see the driver cam again, cool as a cucumber, no reaction whatsoever, minus the, milking a cow like a steering wheel. All right, Laura, continuing on.
And that, Mike, is what you call a commentator's curse. Just praise a driver as they're collecting the car from the grass. But luckily, or pleasingly for Laura Hill and the Lightspeed car, that's not a massive amount of track position and real estate that she's lost. She's still in 11th place. When we came to her, she was 10th, fighting for 9th. So it's only 1 or 2 points dropped if things stay as they are. Simon Bauer in 5th position, dropping points. He's got 5 seconds that will be applied to his race time as well as the checkered flag. So Bauer stuck very much between a rock and a hard place. He wants to make this move so he can squibble up the road as fast as possible, but the harder he fights with Ian all ahead, the more time he will give away, and the net more pain he will pay when the checkered flag falls in a few moments time. And there is the VGTR Esports number 20 machine pulling off to the side of the road. Methinks potentially not enough fuel to keep that car to the checkered flag. So a real shame on the final lap to see that car coasting into retirement. Incident between 14 and 5 on lap 11 is a racing incident from race control. But back to the Simon Bauer fight. Can he find a way past the car ahead? Peter Brett doesn't care, because once again Peter Brett opens a can of domination on this field to take the checkered flag by a healthy 5 seconds at the front of the field. Bauer still charging on in 5th position. He's run out of corners, he's run out of time. The checkered flag waves. Himself and Ian Hall as one cross the line. Bauer 5th at the checkered flag. That will become further down the running order when the time penalty is applied. And there is Carl Van Horn, 13th into the final corner after an eventful race in car number 13.
And my goodness as well, Bogra, at the very end on the final lap, picks up a drive-through penalty, comes across the line. That gets changed to a stop-go 30, just the 30-second time penalty that'll be added at the end of the race time. That is going to plummet Borga's results. And what a recovery drive as well from Borga. He did such an excellent job, Gorov did, to get back through the field and just gets hit with that penalty at the very end. You absolutely hate to see it, but that's the way of racing. You expand the track limits one too many times, and well, the marshals don't really care.
Yeah, some you win, some you lose. This is a replay of the start. That's the contact that we saw at the back of our shot, which is just very typical Misano single make car contact. Everybody squabbling over the same piece of racetrack. There's a mistake off onto the gravel for the 101, I think that was, 102 machine. That opened the door to a charging drive. Laura Smith, that we saw a little bit earlier on making a mistake at the final part of the race. She was aggressive as usual in that 212 machine, side by side, and then eventually through on the 33. A well executed and brave overtaking manoeuvre. Laura very much coming alive in these racing sessions. We saw fights at the front of the field, we saw fights in the middle and the rear of the pack. One thing is for sure, these drivers in the ASETEK Simsports Community Trophy certainly know how to put on a show. Murray Striker, though, had a good start, had a challenge for the sharp end of the grid, but then plummeted like a stone towards the checkered flag. The beautiful liveried number 1 machine there of Benjamin Eck. A small mistake, a big consequence. Not one, but potentially 2 places lost, courtesy of running a little bit deep into the corner. He would recover that one, though, a little bit later on. Here's the charge on the number 5 Trackalicious car through the final corner. Sets him up for the run down into the first chicane, just like you do at Misano. Don't pass in one corner, set it up, get the deal done before we even hit the breaking point. Good manoeuvre by Benjamin Eck, but he came immediately back under pressure from Quinn Smith. Smith not willing to give up that place, looks to the outside, then a kiss to the rear of the car. That compromised his corner entry, and that allowed another overtaking opportunity. Quinn Smith's race would unravel as the event progressed. 101 that we're looking at here on the charge finds a way past. That is the car of Murray Striker. A good overtaking manoeuvre as Striker rapidly started to drop down the running order with grip and balance and tyre life in that former second position car starting to fade away from the Dutchman. A little kiss through the final corner would push the Porsche wide, but Striker would pay the price for that one a little bit later on. Here's Quinn Smith, Trackalicious car that we saw facing the wrong direction. That's what happened, a side-to-side contact, unfortunately sending the Porsche off onto the grass. Not the final excursion from that car we would see as the race progresses. And then here again we see another good squabble, 4 cars involved, a very late dive to the inside. Smith, once again the man that pays the price, and he runs himself off of the running order. And Mike, take it away, my friend. These are the championship provisional standings after the first round, first 2 races.
Absolutely a smashing result there from the SOP Esports Racing team. 159 points onto the board. Got to give massive credit there, of course, to our race winner, as managing to have absolute domination throughout every single race tonight. SimZone not too far behind, but a little bit, is going to be at 112 points after race 1. Of course, this is the total from all 3 drivers. QRT Esports, I can already see it now. We're going to have a tight championship battle. Of course, this is just race 1 and 2 out of 6. Of course, 3 events, 6 races total. Next race will be at Donington Park in the BMW M2s. That's going to be on September 25th. We have JL Motorsports. They're going to be with 96 points with a very tight battle to Sim Racing Collective. Of course, those drivers, all of them, most of these teams have 3 out of 3 drivers out there. A few of them not quite. DC Sim Racing, though, 91 points. Lightspeed Racing with a respective 89 points. So the battle between P4, 5, and 6 is going to be tight. 67 points for the FRL Racing team. They're definitely only 2 drivers out there. Going to be looking to improve that result next week. VGTR, 57 points respectively, and Trackalicious with 42. Down at the bottom currently with 1 driver, of course. And we're back in the booth. Welcome, everybody. And yeah, Paul, what amazing spectacles that we've seen today. Just the racing out there. I cannot wait to see these guys out in the M2s. This is amazing, the action that we're seeing.
Yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic, Mike. You're right. And speaking of fantastic, there were 27 drivers, but realistically there was only 1. It was this man, Peter Brett, because you dominated, sir. Peter, welcome and a huge congratulations. If anybody wanted to learn how to go out and dominate a race event, you'd be a very good textbook to study. Well done. How are you feeling?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, very good. Happy with that. Wasn't too hard in the end, but yeah, pretty good series there.
So, pole position in both races, victory in both races. Were you ever under pressure at any stage, or was that as easy as it looked?
Yeah, I mean, no, it was pretty. My teammates were pretty fast, but other than that, after the first 2 laps, once the tires heated up, it was all good. Just hot lapping.
So, I mean, obviously, without giving away the trade secrets, how do you deliver a performance like that in this field? Because that wasn't just you won. You smashed it. What have you done special? What have you done that others haven't done to give you the platform to be that quick?
I suppose part of a good team, good setup. Put in a good bit of practice there yesterday and today just to nail down the quali. Because quali was most important here, I think, because my own teammate Simon, he was stuck in 3rd, probably as quick as me on race pace, but he couldn't get anywhere in the race. So once I nailed down the quali, I was pretty confident with the race.
Now, in race 2, Murray Stryker was your main opponent at the start of the race. He looked very quick, but then just fell off a cliff at the end of the race. Was tyre wear ever a problem for you? How did that go, the balance over the course of the event?
Yeah, tyre wear and these kicked the Porsche because of the no TC. I mean, it ruins the rear tyres if you're not careful. So for the first 5 minutes, I just let the tyres warm up, bring them up to temperature, and whatever they did behind they could do, and I just pulled away then once their tyres kind of overheated.
So suppose, last question, Peter, before I let you get off and celebrate. The big one is, are you as good in a BMW M2 CS Racing Cup as you are in a Porsche?
I will be next week.
It was a brilliant result, Peter. Really, really well done. Congratulations on the victory.
Cheers.
Go and have a celebration, and we'll see you on the 25th.
Appreciate it. Thanks a minute.
Thanks very much, Peter Brett, our race winner there, Mike. And he's a man, if I'd have won, well, anything, I'd be going bonkers. But that's a confident man that came in here expecting to win and delivering exactly what he expected.
Man has ice in his veins, you can tell. Not a drip of sweat off of his brow in that race, which truly says something due to the competition that he was racing against there. Not any of these guys are slow. Let's just mask. In fact, none of these guys are even slow, isn't even in their vocabulary, to be completely honest. And Peter just on a different planet, an absolute alien out there tonight and dominating, as he said. We'll see. The BMW M2s are going to be next week. We'll see if he can keep that up. Of course, the Porsche Cup cars, he definitely showed his strengths in there. We'll see, though, moving on, of course, to Donington Park next week.
Donington Park, which is my local racetrack, which is also very good. But if you enjoyed this, folks at home, don't forget that we're back in action tomorrow for the ADAC Professional Trophy. So put a note in your diary or on your phone or on your apps or whatever it is that you use to come back again here to the ADAC SimRacing Expo YouTube or Twitch channel for what will be another couple of great races, I'm absolutely sure. And Mike, we're going to be back in action again for the ASETEK Simsports Community Trophy, as you say, on the 25th. And I love the fact that we're switching the cars up. So yes, it's hard to look past Peter Brett in a Porsche, but put him in a BMW, and that could be an entirely different thing altogether, couldn't it? And that's a true test of how good or not a driver can be.
Absolutely, as they are going to actually have some assists next week. Of course, 50% of their assists this week were removed. No traction control in those Porsche Cup cars. They are all reliant on ABS and pure skill in that right foot. Able to, of course, Peter able to have a traction control of his own with his right foot. But yeah, next week they'll have traction control, ABS, all of the fun assists down on a extremely tight, twisty, windy track with some really good overtaking opportunities at Donington Park.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. So please do put that date in your diary, because it's going to be an absolute cracker. For the next one, I'm going to be joined by Christian. So, Mike, this is our first time working together, sir. The UK and the United States come together for this broadcast, and I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure. Brilliant job. It's been really, really enjoyable to join you in the booth, and I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you what your moment of the race has been. What's been the most interesting takeaway from these two races for you?
I gotta say, race 1, the sheer battling between position 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all throughout the first race, literally all 20 minutes. They were inseparable. That was just some incredible action. And also, Paul, thank you very much. The pleasure, of course, is mine here to join you. I've had an amazing time, and thank you very much for having me. Of course, everybody over here at ADAC Racing, as well as all of the other communities involved, thank you guys so much for having me here. And yeah, make sure you guys add it to the next week, September 25th. Make sure you guys tune in for that.
Perfect stuff. Thank you very much. So for one final time, a reminder to you all, head over to the SimGrid, check out some of these communities, see if you can find some racing for yourself at a time and a style that suits your skill, experience and requirements. Big thank you to ADAC SimRacing Expo, to the SimGrid, Asher Racing, to everybody behind the scenes, to Mike alongside me, to the broadcast, the stewards, to the fans at home, and of course to ASETEK Simsports for making all of this possible. So hopefully see you tomorrow. If not, we'll see you again on the 25th. And from Mike and myself, Paul Jeffrey, much love. Thank you for watching. Until next time, bye-bye.